Join the Bhakti podcast with deep insights into all matters spiritual. Like and subscribe to keep up to date with your inner self.
Om Mirandasya Gananjana Jalakaya Jagshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shrabitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Svabadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrachadam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Zavadhutam Parichana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivishagan Vidamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagadapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarupascha Kripa Sindhupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kuntī, that state he will attain without fail. Hare Krishna, very important verse and very well-known verse, quoted verse. It just shows how important it is. At the time of death, what we remember, what state of being, what are we thinking at the time of death, when we leave this body? It's so important, because that thinking will be our future destination. Sometimes people say, well, that seems easy. When I leave my body, I quickly think of Krishna. I may have not been thinking of Krishna throughout my life very much, but when death is coming, I quickly think of Krishna, and then I will go to Krishna's abode. It doesn't work like that. The thoughts, the state of mind at the time of death is a accumulation of our whole lifetime. So if we have been thinking of Krishna throughout our life, we have practiced thinking of Krishna, means chanting Hare Krishna. When we chant Hare Krishna, we automatically think of Krishna. And if we don't think of Krishna while we chant Hare Krishna, we think of our shopping list or anything else, to-do list for the day, then that chanting will be not very, will not help us as much as when we think of Krishna. Of course, the effect is there, because the holy name is spiritual. It's just like fire. If we touch it, it burns. Whoever, even a small child, touches a fire, innocent small child. Why should the fire burn the child? He doesn't know nothing about the fire. Still the fire burns. So the holy name, it has its effect. If we want it, if we don't want it, because it's a spiritual sound vibration imported from the spiritual world. It's not a material sound. Is imported from the spiritual world. There's not many things imported from the spiritual world, but the holy name, that Hare Krishna mantra, is one of those things. It looks like it's just a normal sound, but it's not. Not a normal sound. You try. Srila Prabhupada has been challenged by someone in the audience saying, "What? I can chant Coca-Cola, and it will have the same effect." How? And Srila Prabhupada said, "How long can you chant Coca-Cola? 10 minutes, half an hour, 20 minutes? But we can chant Hare Krishna all night and day long, 24 hours we can chant Hare Krishna, and we feel increasing ecstasy. So more we chant Hare Krishna, so more blissful we feel." Why? Because it's a spiritual sound vibration. It looks like a material sound, but the effect, on the effect we can see, it's not a material sound. Which material sound can deliver what the holy name is delivering? No material sound. So if we practice throughout our life of chanting Hare Krishna, and particularly if we chant regularly, we put in great emphasis on regularly chanting of this Hare Krishna mantra. 1 round, even 4, 8, 12, what to speak of 16. So if we practice that every day throughout our life, chanting a fixed amount of rounds, and we should chant a fixed amount of rounds. Shastra says one should fix a number of rounds to chant every day. The regular chanting of a fixed number of rounds, a numerical goal has to be set. That's what Shastra is saying. Shastra, scripture. And Shastra doesn't say 16 rounds. In fact, when Srila Prabhupada, in the Gaudiya Math in India, where Srila Prabhupada has been part of that Gaudiya Math, that is an organization created by Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. They chant 64 rounds every day. Can you imagine? 64 rounds every day. 64 rounds means 8 hours a day. Of course, these devotees in India, life is so much easier. The climate and everything. For bodily maintenance, it doesn't need such a huge endeavor. Like here in the West, to maintain houses and mortgages and cars and so many complicated things. So when Srila Prabhupada, he once in the early days, he was giving a lecture on the Vyasasan. Vyasasan is that raised seat. Vyasasan, why Vyasasan? Because that is a representative, the seat of Vyasadeva. And Vyasadeva is that personality, is a literal incarnation of Krishna. He has written down all the Vedic literatures. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Ramayana, all that Mahabharata. He has written it down. Before he wrote it down, it was orally transmitted from spiritual master to disciple. People had such excellent memories. They're learning the whole Bhagavad Gita by heart. I have actually seen some Indian families, a young daughter, not older than maybe 8, 9, 10, 12 to the most. They can recite the entire Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit. Entire Bhagavad Gita. All the verses. So that can be learned. That can be trained. It's beautiful. Sanskrit is also very elevated language. It is said Sanskrit is spoken in the higher planetary system. It's a language of the demigods. Perfect language. So if we go to the higher planetary systems, there Sanskrit is the daily language. Okay, Prakash has gone. So, if we train ourselves 2. That chanting of Hare Krishna is meant that we remember Krishna. Always, as much as possible. And chanting a fixed number of rounds. And increase that fixed number of rounds. We want to achieve 16. So Srila Prabhupada spoke to his early disciples, sitting on that seat of Vyasadeva, that Vyasa son, that raised seat, in honor of Vyasadeva. Every temple has like that. We don't have really, but in France, in Rouen, Bhaktivedanta Manor, everywhere there is a bit of a raised seat. That's the seat of Vyasadeva, symbolically. So Srila Prabhupada said, if you don't chant 64 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra every day, you cannot go back home to Godhead. That's a very strong statement. If you cannot chant 64 rounds, you cannot go back home to Godhead. It's a spiritual world. So the devotees, they felt quite dejected, hopeless. They looked down and they thought to themselves, I can never go back home to Godhead. I just can't chant 64 rounds. How can I? It's 8 hours a day. I can hardly sit still for 10 minutes. So much passion in us. Westerners, very difficult. In India, much more possible. So Srila Prabhupada could see that they felt very dejected, very hopeless. Then he made some adjustment. He can do that. Because Srila Prabhupada is a right-hand man of Krishna. He has been given that freedom to make adjustments as an acharya, as a leader of all the Vaishnavas throughout the world. So then Srila Prabhupada said, okay, 36 rounds. If you don't chant 36 rounds, you can't go home, back home to Godhead. Still the devotees were very hopeless. 36 rounds. 32 rounds, sorry. That's 4 hours. Well, better than 8 hours, but... So then Srila Prabhupada looked at them with his full compassion. And then he said, 16 rounds and nothing less. And I guarantee, you chant 16 rounds every day, you will go back home to Godhead. So that is how it came to 16 rounds, from a big number to down to 32, 64, 32 to 16. So Srila Prabhupada could make that adjustment. We cannot. Last Saturday, well, I spoke with Ben the other day, and he said, I think I told you that story. I mean, Narayan Maharaj from the Gaudiya Math, he's giving initiation for devotees who are chanting 4 rounds and follows the principles, all 4 principles. And Ben said he's very merciful. Well, he may be. He's very potent, or was a very potent Vaishnava. Like Srila Prabhupada, he could make adjustments. But then I said to Ben, and Vaishnav was there, I would also ask for 4 rounds for devotees to get initiation. I would. To be merciful. But I cannot. I don't have this authority. Srila Prabhupada gave us a formula and we'll have to stick to it. I don't have any authority to change anything. So it is 16 rounds and 4 regulative principles. And then one can get initiated. But we thinking of introducing this Bhakti Vriksha ceremony for devotees who cannot chant 16 rounds at present. We're chanting 8 rounds, 4 rounds, 1 round even. So the path is open to increasingly make spiritual progress. So this verse is so important because whatever we think at the time of death, that determines our next body. Most people don't even think next body. So most people don't even believe in next body. They think when I'm dead, everything is finished. Nothing. Black box. It was so funny. So many years ago, my late mother, I spoke to her and I spoke about reincarnation. Coming back. It's a fact. And then she thought, she was at advanced age. She must have been 80 by that time, 90 perhaps even. Then she said, oh, that would be nice, of coming back. She thought, when I'm dead, everything is finished. I am finished, everything is finished. And when she heard about reincarnation, that would be nice. That would be nice, coming back as someone else. Not someone else, but in a different body. So if people are taught properly and confronted, then they might think a little bit, what body will I get next time around? And we should. An intelligent person will meditate on and will think about, now I'm in this human body. What body will I get after I die? Very important question. So many insurance policies we have. House insurance, car insurance, this insurance, that insurance, life insurance. But nobody has a death insurance. An insurance where we don't have to take birth again. Taking birth again means death again, and birth again, and death again, and it goes on and on and on. It's not nice. In this material world, it's a horrible place. Now, say, preparing for war, killing people right and left and blowing things up. That's a human condition. So 50 years, peace, and then war again. Because that karma, accumulated karma from so much animal slaughter. Srila Prabhupada actually said something very interesting. Animals are not, what word he used? Animals are not defenseless. I think that was the word. It appears like animals are completely defenseless. We're killing them and that's it. They have they cannot defend themselves. But animals are not defenseless because the karma, by so much animal killing, it's accumulating and accumulating, and it erupts in war where people kill each other. There is a great thinker, Western thinker, it may have been Bernard Shaw, a great philosophical mind. He said, as long as animals are killed in slaughterhouses, people will be killed on battlefields. So there is a direct, he was clever enough to see the direct consequence of animal killing and people slaughter each other in wars. So we don't want to come back to this horrible place. And in the meantime, Kali Yuga has progressed more and more and more. And it's only getting worse. So where is that insurance? That death insurance, that insurance we take no more birth. at the end of this life? Well, Krishna consciousness is that insurance. Devotees who are Krishna conscious and living throughout their lives and leaving their body in Krishna consciousness, they're not coming back here. They're going to the spiritual kingdom, either Vaikuntha or Goloka or any of the spiritual planets. There's no question, devotees are not coming back. When there is this famous story where Allen Ginsberg, the great poet, the hippie poet of the 60s, he sat opposite to Srila Prabhupada and they talked about so many things. And Ginsberg, he has been given Srila Prabhupada his first harmonium. He has been helping this movement in big ways. In particular, when the big festival, the Avalon, in the Avalon ballroom, a big festival was organized where great music bands, that was in San Francisco at the height of the hippie flower power movement, where the devotees organized a concert for Srila Prabhupada to speak. And at that concert there were great bands like the Grateful Dead, that were famous bands at the time, or other great names. They performed, and Srila Prabhupada spoke there. And that was the beginning of Krishna consciousness in San Francisco. So this Allen Ginsberg, he was the hippie poet at the time. He was there on stage as well. And when people, he was quite famous by then, when people heard, oh, Allen Ginsberg is coming to the concert, oh, thousands of people flocked there. Thousands of people. So he sat opposite Srila Prabhupada, and he asked Srila Prabhupada, what will happen at the end of Kali Yuga? The Iron Age, Kali Yuga, the age of hypocrisy. There are many predictions, prophecies in Srimad Bhagavatam. So what will happen? And Srila Prabhupada leaned closer to him and said, Alan, at the end of Kali Yuga, you will eat me and I will eat you. People will eat each other for want of food. So Bhagavatam explains that people have children for want of food. They will eat their own children for want of food. It is so bad at the end of this Kali Yuga. Very, very bad. And people will live underground. Bhagavatam doesn't say why, but one can only imagine. You live overground is all radioactive, contaminated. And climate also, one cannot live overground. So people live in like holes, like rats in the holes. And another description is given. People have the stature of, they are very small. They're not like today. One size of a human. No, they are just small, like maybe 15-year-old children or smaller. And it is also explained, if someone, towards the end of this Kali Yuga, if someone reaches the age of 30 years, he's considered an old man. So people's lifespan is reducing to maximum 30 years. When one can only speculate, yes, through all this contamination in the environment and all of that, yes. So life expectancy, 30 years maximum. Rituan Vihari Prabhu Ki Jai. How are you?
Prabhuji, I'm fine, thank you.
All family is okay, everyone?
Yes, Prabhuji, they are fine.
Hare Krishna. We're just discussing that very nice verse, you know that verse, huh? Yam yam vāpi smaran bhāvaṁ. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kuntī, that state he will attain without fail. So I'm just making that point, how important it is that we think of Krishna at the time of death. And that is only possible if we are accustomed to think of Krishna throughout our life. Of course, the best, Srila Prabhupada points that out, like Prahlad Maharaj, that from this Krishna consciousness needs to be practiced from small childhood on. But we don't have generally this facility of taking birth in a family of Vaishnavas, where we are confronted with Krishna consciousness from small childhood on, like Srila Prabhupada. From small childhood on, when he went to sleep, he could hear his father's ringing the bell and saying the prayers to the deities from small childhood. And then he was given some deities as well. His father gave him some Radha Krishna deities. And so born in a Vaishnava family, which is a very, very rare blessing. Only for someone who has practiced Krishna consciousness for a long time in his previous life. Krishna says so in Bhagavad Gita. If someone practiced for a long time, then his next birth will be in a family of transcendentalists, of devotees, of Vaishnavas, and from small childhood on, he will be practicing Krishna consciousness. And if one practices from small childhood on, then it's more or less guaranteed that he will remember Krishna at the time of death and go back home to God. That's a blessing of that type of birth, of being born in a family of transcendentalists, that will be his last birth. And the other person who has practiced for not that long time, for some short time, but he falls away from the path, at least he will take a human birth, and he will take a birth in an aristocratic, rich family with all facilities. He doesn't have to much care about his maintenance. Financially, he's secure. So he has theoretically a good start of practicing Krishna consciousness without having to worry about his bodily maintenance. So therefore Prahlad Maharaj said this Krishna consciousness needs to be practiced from small childhood on. But we say better late than never. We didn't have such a pious birth, and we picking up Krishna consciousness later on in life. Well, we trying to make the best out of it. One who surrenders to a pure devotee, top, uttama, spiritual master like Srila Prabhupada. Then Srila Prabhupada is so merciful. He reduced the 64 rounds to 36 and then to 16 rounds. And as he said, I take you even through the back door to Krishna. We have spoken about that. Through the back door. Front door is congested. They're waiting in queues. Back door, we straight away. Easy. Through the back door. By Srila Prabhupada's mercy. And he can guarantee this kind of arrangement because he is a right-hand man of Krishna. If we have, let's say we have contact with someone who's a right-hand man of a big, rich person, or the president or prime minister, then we would expect some benefits from that relationship. So if we have a relationship with Srila Prabhupada, who is a right-hand man of Krishna, then we should expect some benefits. And the benefit is, Srila Prabhupada said, yes, you follow me, I'll take you to the back door to Krishna. Like Lord Buddha, he said, if you follow me, ahimsa, no killing anymore, no meat eating, no animal killing. And I say, there is no God. Just follow me and practice ahimsa. So this atheists at the time, they were very happy. Oh, there is no God. Don't follow the Vedas. Forget about the Vedas. Just follow this Buddha. And they have been tricked for their good fortune. Because also Lord Buddha says, rejected the Vedas. There is no God. And the atheists like to hear that. You talk to an atheist, no, there is no God. You don't have to be, you're not responsible for what you do. No God means no Paramatma in the heart. All your miserable deeds, they are not recorded. You get away with it. You get away with murder. If the state doesn't catch you, so there's nobody else to catch you. That's their like. So many people like that. Oh, nobody will hold me responsible for what I do in secret, all my sinning in secret. If there's no God, there's no Paramatma, because Paramatma is recording all our actions. So the people like that. But they were cheated. How were they cheated? Because Lord Buddha says there is no God, but follow me. But he was God. He was God. He was an incarnation of the Lord Buddha. So they actually followed Krishna. They followed God. And they were very fortunate. Because by following Lord Buddha, one gets very good benefit. Of course, more than following the Lord Buddha and the philosophy of Lord Buddha is to follow a pure Uttama devotee like Srila Prabhupada, and the benefit will be immense. We gain through the back door to Krishna. But if we don't have that faith in the pure devotee, in Srila Prabhupada, then we are very unfortunate. And we may have to take another birth and another until some arrangement will be there in many hundreds of future births that back door is opening again. It's opening now. How long that back door stays open, who can say? We don't know. All what we know, we following Srila Prabhupada, our chief, our leader, our everything and all. The back door is there. In that case, if we don't have that faith, then, well, we may have to elevate ourselves through yoga for hundreds and hundreds of births, or through the empirical path, the jnana path, and what is Krishna saying? Bahunam janmanam ante. After many births, such a philosophical speculator, then he will understand that I was looking for Krishna. Actually, I was looking for Krishna all the time, but I didn't realize. But it takes many, many births to come to that realization. And then that jnani, he will surrender to Krishna, and he can become elevated in this way. So, Srila Prabhupada speaks about the story of Maharaj Bharata, Bharat Maharaj. Maybe Ritu and Prabhu, you can tell us this story about Bharat Maharaj? who thought of a deer at the time of death, and then he took on that body of a deer. So, Ridwan Prabhu, you can tell us about Bharat Maharaj?
Prabhuji, I can actually. There is a lot of sound and other things like going on around here because of some work being done. I'll try to speak in short, like very short.
Okay.
Yeah, Prabhuji, Bharat Maharaj was he was the basically he was the emperor of the world at that time, and at a very early age he left his kingdom to his sons and went away. I think it was in Haridwar. He went away to basically spend the rest of his life fully dedicated in the service of the Lord. So while he was, he went to Haridwar, and while he was, he had a very wonderful routine of devotional service, and it is said that he also reached the level of bhakti. But one day it happened that while he was taking a bath, he saw there was a deer, a female deer, with who was pregnant, and at that time there was some lion or some tiger in the woods, and as soon as the tiger roared out of fear, the deer, the female deer, she jumped into the river, and at that time she delivered the baby and she died. Basically, she was flown away by the flow of the river. So seeing this and seeing the small baby deer in a helpless condition, Bharat Maharaj felt compassion, and he rescued the deer and brought him to his ashram, and he started to take care of the deer. But gradually, what happened? He got attracted or attached to the deer. He was taking care of the deer, and in Srimad Bhagavatam it said like he was basically looking after the deer, and in doing so, he was gradually moving away from his devotional service and getting, just like a just like a police system. He was getting more and more attached to the service of the deer, and on the other hand, he was getting far away from his routine devotional service. And it is said that in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also said that he was trying to make his own mind understand. I mean, basically pacifying his own mind, saying that I'm doing compassion for this deer, and if I am not there, there is nobody to take care of this deer. So basically, he developed that ego within himself, that I am the one who is who is taking care of the deer. So even from the level of bhakti, he came down. Prabhupada says he fell down, and again that I and mine thing came, that this is my deer. I am the only one who is taking care of the deer. So at one point, what happened? He was so attached to the deer that whenever he was engaging himself in his daily devotional services, the baby deer used to come and sit beside him, and the deer used to do all these antics which a baby deer would do. And instead of focusing his mind to the devotional service, Bharat Maharaj, while doing devotional service, his mind was taken away from the service of the Lord to the service of the deer, and thereby days passed, and gradually the time came when one day what happened? The deer basically went away into the forest with some other deer, and not seeing this baby deer, Bharat Maharaj became almost mad, and he was always thinking of the deer, when the deer will come back. He was like, basically Prabhupada says that he left his whole kingdom, he left his wife, he left all his sons, but got attached to the deer and felt the deer is his son, and it is his responsibility to take care of the deer. So thinking of the deer like that, one day the time came that he left his body thinking about that deer, And the next life, as because Krishna says it, just like Krishna says in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, whatever we are thinking at the time of the death, we attain that kind of consciousness and that kind of body. So as because he was thinking of the deer, being too attached to the deer, he attained the birth of a deer in the next life. So from the stage of bhav bhakti, he fell down and didn't even get a body of a human being. But as because he had done devotional service, that too quite advanced devotional service, by the mercy of the Lord, Prabhupada says, by the mercy of the Lord, even being a deer, he could remember his past life, that because of being attached to a deer, I have become a deer in this life. And that's why he didn't mingle with his dear friends or the family. He just went away from the forest and went to the ashram of Pulastha Muni, I think, and he used to remain in association of the sages, even as a deer, because he could remember by the mercy of the Lord. He remembered his past life, and as because the life of the deer is short, one day his tenure as in the body of the deer ended, and this time he got another birth in the family of a Brahmin. And again, by the mercy of the Lord, he was able to remember both his, the two previous births. And this time, he was very careful not to fall down. So he basically acted in such a way that people would not, bother him. He acted like a foolish man, and his name was Bharat again. But as because he acted like a foolish man, dumb fellow, people used to call him Jara Bharat. Jara means like an inanimate. So thereby, he was very careful not to make the same mistake of getting attached to friends, family, relatives. And thereby, then after that, in that life, he perfected himself. It is a long story. He perfected himself, and in that life, he went back to Godhead. So from this story, we understand how, by the mercy of the Lord, if somebody is advanced in Krishna consciousness, he gets another chance. He or she does not have to start from zero. His spiritual assets get, accumulated, and he starts after that. Whatever he has ended in the past life, he or she starts from that level. And also another lesson is whatever our consciousness at the time of death is, we attain that, just like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. That was a beautiful rendition of that whole pastime of Bharat Maharaj and Amit by Subhay. We calling, I'm going to India, the devotees say, I'm going to Bharat. So India is named after, as Bharat Varsha is named after Bharat Maharaj. Such a great personality he was. So yes, beautiful story with lots of lessons to be learned. And the process is very easy. It's basically two rules to the entire Krishna conscious process. Always remember Krishna, never forget him. So there is what we should do in a prohibition as well, never forget him. So it's all in focus of remembering Krishna. Therefore we talked earlier, the chanting of Hare Krishna, that helps us to remember Krishna. And there are many other processes of remembering Krishna. And the main angas of devotional service is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. Smaranam means remembering. I came across a very nice story. Srila Prabhupada said, I have always been very eager to hear. When he was introduced to his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was always very eager to hear from him. And he was saying, even though my spiritual master spoke in Bengali, which is Srila Prabhupada's mother tongue, I could hardly understand anything. But still I was eager to hear. That's not that I understand anything, because Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he spoke in very elevated topics and very elevated language. He was such a great scholar. If we today read some statement or we listen to some great scholar who uses so many complicated words, we may also not understand very much, if at all. So, but Srila Prabhupada said, still I was always hearing, even so I didn't understand hardly anything. And of course Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he noticed that this boy is very eager to hear. So Srila Prabhupada said, I like to hear from my spiritual master, and I was hearing and hearing and hearing. And now I am chanting kirtanam. Now I perform in kirtanam. Means in the form of spreading Krishna consciousness throughout the world. That is kirtanam. And his writing is also kirtanam, speaking, glorifying Krishna. That's all kirtanam. It's all glorification. Kirtanam means like kirtan, chanting. Chanting the glories of the Lord. Through writings and through Harinam and through so many ways. So it's natural. If one is hearing properly, one wants to also chant, glorify Krishna. The example is given, if we have a glass of ink and we're pouring water in, that ink will be gone in no time and there will be pure water left. It will just overflow. The glass will overflow with water. So if we hear enough, we will overflow. It will come out through our tongue and through our lips. If we properly hear, it's not possible that we're hearing and hearing and hearing, but we don't glorify Krishna. Then we haven't really heard properly. If we're hearing and hearing and hearing, but it doesn't manifest in speaking about Krishna, in chanting Hare Krishna, in glorifying Krishna, then that hearing wasn't really hearing. It's not. If we hear about Krishna, naturally we want to glorify Krishna because we understand how wonderful and how great Krishna is. So we want to share it with other people. Sharing Krishna. Srila Prabhupada was a prime example. He was spreading Krishna consciousness throughout the world. He went on one trip to Moscow. He asked Shyamasundar to arrange a journey to Moscow because he wanted to implant Krishna consciousness throughout the world in different countries. So at the time, Russia was under communist rule, and it was not easy to get, first of all, into Russia. What to speak of being there and not being suspicious. The authorities are suspicious. And so he was fortunate to contact a professor at the University of Moscow. It was a Sanskrit professor, Professor Kotovsky. So he was writing to that Sanskrit professor Kotovsky. And through that Professor Kotovsky, he was able to arrange a visa to get into Russia as a scholar, discussing with a professor, so in the academic route. And with one or two devotees, Srila Prabhupada went to Moscow. And he met that Professor Kotovsky, and there are some conversations. And that Professor Kotovsky, also he was a Sanskrit scholar, he didn't understand nothing about Krishna consciousness. So much so that, Swamiji, when we die, everything is finished. He was a Sanskrit professor. So then Shyamasundar explains, it was so difficult to get any food in Moscow at the time. There was meat, yes, everywhere. But food, they had to shop around to find even some rice. They couldn't find any rice. So what? They had nothing to eat. And they were, of course, they were followed by the KGB, the Secret Service. What are these people up to? They're coming to Moscow, and so they were followed. They were restricted. They were able to go out on the street, but they were followed. So eventually, Shyamasundar, he was able to secure some rice and some milk. That was very rare. To get some milk at the time in Moscow. Very difficult. So then Srila Prabhupada said, okay, that's all what we have. Rice and milk. Let's make some sweet rice. That's big pots. They had quite a good quantity of rice and milk. So they filled all the pots with sweet rice. Cooked some nice sweet rice, but still there was more sweet rice. They didn't know where to put it. Then Srila Prabhupada, very interesting also, Srila Prabhupada was so practical. Then where shall we put that rest of the sweet rice? Then Srila Prabhupada said, my bathing lota, the cup where Srila Prabhupada took shower, that shower is not like we have the shower with the shower head and we turn the tap and hot water, warm water comes out. No, from Srila Prabhupada is accustomed, like in India, you crouching down and you have a bucket with water and you take that container, that lota, and you pouring it over your body. And then Shyamasundar said, but that lota is contaminated, it's in the bathroom. And then Srila Prabhupada said, never mind. Never mind. He would insist so much cleanliness, but in that particular circumstance, never mind. So they filled that lota with the sweet rice, and all the sweet rice was there cooked and in containers. And they were eating sweet rice every day. That was what they could get. Said, taking shower with a bucket and a lota, dip it in and putting over yourself. When Srila Prabhupada came to the Agarwals, his first place where he stayed in America, he had no one, nowhere, no contact, no friends, no nothing in America. When he came to New York, and then there was his only contact was the Agarwal family in Butler, Pennsylvania. And there where he went to the Agarwals. It was a simple family. And one day, Sally Agarwal, she could see water coming under the bathroom door when Srila Prabhupada took his bath. Water coming under the bathroom door. She said, Swamiji, is everything okay? Yes. So later on it transpired. Srila Prabhupada didn't know there are no bathtubs in India. It's just a bucket bath. So Srila Prabhupada crouched on the floor, filled the bathtub with some water, and then took with his lota, he took some water from the bathtub and put over himself, and naturally the water will come on the floor and out of the bathroom. So in that way, Srila Prabhupada had no experience of this Western culture, but he adapted very quickly. And another story, he went, at that time, he went to the supermarket and bought some few items. Srila Prabhupada had this beautiful brass two-tier cooker, where the pots are stacked over each other. And then simultaneously the rice cooks and the dal cooks in a container under, so different compartments stacked on top of each other. It's like a steamer set we get here so easily. I have seen pictures, the brass steamer. And he had to cook for himself, and the fridge was there he could use as an agarwals, but there was meat in the fridge. So Srila Prabhupada had to tolerate to keep his food in the same fridge, in the little corner in the fridge where there was meat. So much trouble. So he was all alone in Butler, Pennsylvania. Also the Agarwal family was very nice, and their little daughter, she grew up, and Srila Prabhupada was very fond of her. So that was his first stay when he came from India. So one day Srila Prabhupada went to the supermarket, and he bought a few items to cook in his tiered steamer. Then at the checkout, you have never seen any checkout like that in India. There are no checkouts like that at that time. And then he started to bargain with the cashier. I'll give you so and so much. And the lady was saying in the checkout, no sir, that there is a fixed price. The price is on the label. It's so and so much. And then Srila Prabhupada tried to bargain. Well, I give you so and so much. And he was so sincere. So eventually the lady gave him the food items to that price Srila Prabhupada put on her. So that just shows how Srila Prabhupada, coming from Vrindavan, a completely different lifestyle, had to adapt to the Western lifestyle. And when he, later on, when the devotees arranged a beautiful quarters for Srila Prabhupada in Los Angeles in the temple, then big chandelier, everything beautiful, wonderful, decorated, and so on. And then they asked Srila Prabhupada, you like your quarters, you like your room? Do you? And Srila Prabhupada said, yes, it is very nice, but my heart yearns to go back to Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada was always within his heart and mind in Vrindavan. Vrindavan consciousness, which is the same as Krishna consciousness. We're thinking of Krishna, we can think of Vrindavan, we think of Radha Shyama Sundar, Krishna Balaram, and their pastimes in the forest. So in this way, we're thinking of Krishna and his pastimes, innumerable pastimes. So we cannot be absorbed of thinking of Krishna 24 hours. Whatever we do, Krishna is always there. If Krishna is our friend, if Krishna is our lover, we feel his presence right by our side. And Krishna arranges all kind of most amazing things. We don't have to, let's say, Krishna is our friend, and we really, really feel sad. What do we have to worry? In this material world, nothing. Krishna will arrange in due course of time. Everything will be arranged by Krishna, and we can actually perceive that. We can perceive Krishna's hand, hidden hand. For the devotee, not that much hidden in everything we're going through in this life. It's not Krishna is far, far away. Krishna is not far, far away. Krishna is very, very close. First of all, he's close as Paramatma, as a Vishnu Murti in the heart. But if we think of Krishna and the Sakas, of Krishna and the Gopis, of Krishna and the elderly cowherd man, or Gopis in parental affection, so Krishna is very close. As soon as we think of Krishna, Krishna is there, no problem. And he arranges all kind of things. Krishna is absolute magic. Krishna is so real. It's not a concept, it's not a philosophy. Krishna is a person, a transcendental person, and he is very real and is very much in our life. That's what we want. to feel Krishna's presence wherever we go. Or as Srila Prabhupada said, I feel the presence of my spiritual master right by my side. That's very important. We should feel the presence of our spiritual master right by our side. That can be achieved. We get absorbed and surrender to spiritual master. We surrender to Srila Prabhupada. We feel Srila Prabhupada's presence right by our side. So anyway, so Srila Prabhupada, when he said, yes, your arrangements in Los Angeles, my quarters are very nice, but my heart yearns to go back to Vrindavan. And then he said something else, very interesting. But that would be sense gratification, right? Because he had a mission. He had a duty to fulfill. He had a service to fulfill. It was given to him to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. So going back to Vrindavan, to the simple life of Vrindavan, of a bridge Basi, that would be sense gratification. That would be just suiting himself, which was very nice, he preferred that 1,000,000 times than traveling all around the world. But that was not what Krishna wanted. Krishna and his spiritual master wanted to spread this Krishna consciousness all over the world. So we can make arrangements. Often Srila Prabhupada says that many times. One should arrange one's environment in such a way that one always can think of Krishna. Can be done in many ways. Make favorable arrangements to think of Krishna. Coming to the temple on a Saturday, going on a Wednesday, reading Srila Prabhupada's transcendental literature, chanting every day. So already a good chunk in our life is geared up to Krishna. And then the time will come when our mind is on Krishna in whatever we do. Whatever we do through our life. We may do so many things. We may have so many social obligations and talk to other people or work. During work, nothing stops us of thinking of Krishna. One can. Sometimes people say, you cannot think of two things at the same time. You cannot do two things at the same time. And Srila Prabhupada says, well, the wife at home, she cooks the prasadam, and she's talking to the children. Well, she's managing that. She cooks and talking to the children, two things at the same time. If the wife can cook and talking to the children at the same time, we certainly can remember Krishna in whatever and we do throughout our day. It's a bit of practice. If we say we cannot think of Krishna while we driving the car, while we walking to the shops, while we doing this and that, that's not the case. We need to practice it maybe a little bit. We can think. Okay. At that point, I will stop. Rituan Prabhuji, are you still there? Rituan?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Have I talked to you about the Bhakti Riksha program last time?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. So, you probably know, did you hear of the Bhakti Riksha program?
I mean, not here. I mean, yeah, as a whole, I know about the Bhakti Riksha program. We used to have a very similar one in India. Yes, Chaitanya Swami, he has been instrumental in introducing that. So we have at the previous Thorsby Street temple, and here also at Hare Krishna temple, where we are now, we have done some blessing ceremony. The Bhakti Riksha program is basically, that part of it is devotees chanting one round
of Hare Krishna every day and commit to no meat, no fish, no eggs. That's level 1, called Shraddhavan. Then there is a level 2, where devotees chanting 4 rounds and adding to the fully vegetarian diet, adding no intoxication. And there is a level 3, chanting 8 rounds and adding no gambling to the principle. So 3 principles and 8 rounds, and then it comes 16 rounds and also 4 principles. So we have done that at Thorsby Street Temple, and we had a ceremony. Shivaram Swami was there, and we had a fire yagya. Yagya was, and devotees confirmed their commitment on one of the 4 levels. And they were all sitting on different levels at the fire yagya. Someone at Shraddhavan with 1 round and no meat, no fish, no eggs. Someone else with 4 rounds and 8 rounds and 16 rounds. And then at the end they received a certificate for their particular level also. And that fire yagya, that is a blessing ceremony to recognize their achievement. And that certificate is a certificate of achievement, achieving one of the 4 levels, and the devotees felt very good about it. And I thought, we have done it before, and we have done it here in the Hare Krishna Center also once, and at Thorsby Street we have done it once or twice, and it was very successful. So I'm thinking of, let's do that program again, because it's such a long way from starting to chant Hare Krishna to chanting 16 rounds and following the 4 principles. It seems to be such a long way. We are not dealing with devotees who are living in the temples, and their inspiration is there, and everyday service, and Mangalati every day, and the Gaurati in the evening, and class, and all of that. That is, of course, accelerating our Krishna consciousness and our training. But here we have just on Wednesday 1.5 hours, and then we have a Saturday program. So this program will give devotees some intermediate steps. Some devotees may never come in this lifetime to chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna. We have to be realistic. They may need a few lifetimes to come to that standard, and others they may achieve it after many years. So let's give devotees something in between. They have achieved level 1, level 2, level 3, or level 4. So that's the idea. And we have already, you probably know the Prabhu, Chakat Bandhu. You heard of Chakat Bandhu, Ritwan?
No, bro. From which? No, I haven't heard.
Chakat Bandhu is a priest,
Okay.
devotee who has been at Granby Street.
Okay.
And doing yagyas and
I don't
funeral
know by
ceremonies.
name, maybe.
So he has already agreed. He said, I asked him, can you do the yagya? Yes, I can do the yagya. So we want to do that. We want to spread the word of devotees. The idea is to take to a level you're already feeling comfortable with, right? Not to aspire for a level and then you feel you cannot keep it up. If you're already chanting 4 rounds, if someone chanting 4 rounds for a year and he has no problem of chanting 4 rounds and is thinking of maybe I could do 8 rounds. So, okay, sit in the yagya on 4 rounds. You're already comfortable with 4 rounds. So let's recognize that. That's a great achievement. And why shouldn't that person get the blessings? So that we spreading the word at the moment. So far, very positive feedback from devotees to do that again. And there is no reason why we couldn't introduce that in Dapi also, I'm thinking. If you speak and you preach to devotees, and those who coming. I mean, it would be nice to have again a program. We spoke about that. If there are any of those who...
It's a good idea, Prabhuji. Yes, we can, as the congregation becomes bigger and bigger,
Yep.
it's still small here, but some of them are regular. So some of the new devotees who are coming, they have become regular over the, over a year or so. So yeah, we can start here also.
Then we come to Dabi. We come to Dabi and Jagat Bandhu. I'm sure he will come. And then we do a yajna, even for 1, 2, 3 people. No problem. It doesn't need to be 10.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll also, there are other organizers also. I'll have to speak to them. I think it will be a good idea.
Yes, because it will encourage devotees to
it's
take
a good
more and more to Krishna consciousness. That's the idea.
Yeah, and they will also be able to assess themselves also, that in which rung of the ladder they are. If we
nobody's assessing them; they have to assess themselves. It's very easy. I send you the levels, the requirements for the levels on WhatsApp. It's very simple. It's very simple. They assess themselves. Where do they fit in? And then they commit to that level they're already practicing. And why shouldn't they get blessings in a fire yajna? They don't have to wait until they chant 16 rounds and 4 regulative principles. They can get the blessings before that on their various different levels. And someone may sit on that level in the fire yajna at 4 rounds, and a year later or 6 months later will do again a yajna, and he has moved on to the level of 8 rounds. So it's meant progressively to come to the level of 16 rounds and 4 principles, and to come to the level of initiation. And then to come to the level of Brahmin initiation. So progressively. Now the doors are all open. And do you know? I don't know. When I was in France at Gopunim, I have been given by Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, to my great surprise and unexpectedly, the responsibility of conducting Diksha initiation. Have you heard about that?
Yes, Prabhu. Actually, I heard it from Amrita Radhe. She told me.
Okay,
and that's a really wonderful thing. Yeah.
So word has spread all the way to Dabi somehow or other. Okay. So, besides all that, it would be nice to have a program, as we spoke about, a program again in Dabi, just like we did before. You set a date, then we'll come.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. We'll plan out definitely. That would be really good at our place.
Okay.
Very soon. I'll speak to Amrita Radhe and then.
Yeah, anytime soon. Yeah. Anytime soon. Okay, and here we stop. Amit. Okay, everything?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you. Everything is fine. Thank you.
Sounds all good. Right. I think we'll have the 11th of April of our anniversary. And then we can think of spreading the word a little bit. And then we can think of maybe 1-2 months afterwards of holding such a ceremony in Leicester. And you think about it, Ritwan Prabhu, how we can direct devotees towards a progressive path of the Krishna consciousness.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, here we stop. Thank you very much. we'll see you on Saturday, maybe, or for sure next Wednesday.
Yes, Prabhuji. Next Wednesday. This Saturday we have our Dabi Namanta.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Join the Bhakti podcast with deep insights into all matters spiritual. Like and subscribe to keep up to date with your inner self.